Okay, everybody. So I lied to you. I said 9 o'clock tomorrow, but I lied, and I decided to do it this way. So I've given you kind of a big break, and now we're coming back just because I didn't want to have to wait till tomorrow, and I want to kind of make it a goal set where every couple of days we meet. And that means for all of the sections that we're going to be doing, then that means that you'll have a couple of days to read through that. So tomorrow, you are going to be seeing Deborah and Melody here at the Cementon, but you're not going to be seeing them in the clubus until Wednesday. So that you can all look forward to. Okay. So, and I will also have their pictures put up on the walls here as well. So, we're going to take a look today at just the very beginning part of the reading. I'm just going to introduce a little bit of it. So, it's very humid out here, by the way. For the introduction, we have phrases and lessons. So the phrase I think and the lessons Gemini has to teach. That is all we're going to be reading about. And then the myth part of it, like mythology about about the twins. So I'm basically going over the introduction. Now let me let you in on a little secret. Is that I am reading and learning this with you. And this is the very first time I've done an all astrological year clubuses. And hopefully I have the same level of interest next year to do those same things. Because I have a lot of plans that I was just thinking of that I didn't, do. But with Taurus season, there's a lot of mentioned guests and a lot of other things going on, which kind of, got away from the whole Taurus idea. Plus, there wasn't a lot of meat in that book as well, like there is for the Gemini one. So we're going to look at the twins and kind of the origins of just the mythology tomorrow. And then as well, we might watch a little video. Or you might be watching a little video on your own on Gemini mythology, if I can find something, and maybe reading about the mythology of the twins to get a little bit further in depth. So we'll be reading this book, but at the same time, we'll be reading a lot of things that are separate and additional from the book. So, then we're going to talk about the Gemini ruling planet, which you all know is Mercury, and we're going to talk about the mythology of that and get into some more stuff. So you can open up the book to the introduction, okay, and I'm going to actually get another bookmark so that I have one for this and one. Okay, everybody. So, I'm going to open up some windows here. And as we're going through, I'm going to keep this handy. As we're going through. Because I'm going to be writing down some, as we're going through, I'll be talking about to you, and I'll be writing down some stuff of what we're reading and learning about as we go along. So I'm going to open up the windows to get a little bit of fresh air. Just open up a couple of little windows here. Let's see, that window's all the way down. Excuse me. Okay. Oh! Okay. Let me get this thing open. Do that. Okay. So get this one open as well. Ooh. Stay open. Okay. Now, do you want the, some of you can really move. I know it's tight space, but we'll make it work. Okay, so, Gemini. So turn to page 9. Okay, turn to that page. And we're going to start reading. So it's first going to talk about the time of year. And then it's going to talk about the other two signs and the lessons they have to offer. So, let's begin. So after the slumber of winter, and in the midst of spring's full flowering, a Gemini is born. So, it gives you the date range on the front. May 21st through June 20th. Now let's pause there. Now when it said spring's full flowering, it is mutable ill. It is late, kind of the end of spring. Well, it hasn't been, since 2009. Since 2010, it's been wonky. It's been really, really weird. Because it hasn't been normal spring. But so anyway, spring's full flowering. Think of, what you can find this time of year. Think of, what you're hearing with the birds. Think of what you're seeing with all of the flowers. So, what we're going to be doing is, I did this with the Aries Club as well, but, at the time, around, March 25th or something, it was just, that time when, things were just beginning to get back, and there wasn't a whole lot. But now, we have a lot of, we have all this greenery, all the grass, all of the flowers and everything. So it certainly looks like summer out there. So what we're going to do is, I think that we're going to have a little break, like a little brain break, and we're going to be heading outside, okay? And I want you to look for a couple of little details, and analysis, Virgo energy. So looking at things that scream spring, healing things, pointing things out, okay? And then when you come back in here, the very, very first thing that you're going to do is you're going to draw that out. And then on the back of that drawing, you're going to make a little haiku. And that's a 3-line poem that's Japanese. And it's very, very short. It's just basically your observations and maybe a couple of your inferences of what you see and then what you think that you see. So, that's what we're going to do. And it's a very, very nice, very, kind of humid day, and I think that we need to really savor the weather before it starts to pour rain on us. So, I'm going to do a couple of little things, and we're going to go out and we're going to do that. Okay, everybody. So is everyone ready to go outside? Is everyone ready? Okay, let's head outside. Okay. So, welcome to the great outdoors. So isn't it gorgeous out here? It's a really, really warm, really humid day. And so what you're doing out here is you're looking for an interesting detail that really represents the time of year and also the feeling. So I'm going to give you some time to do that. Okay, you're going to go around the yard and you're going to see what you can find. This can be shape, this can be color, feel, texture, anything that you can find. And then what we're going to do is we're going to head into the front yard, okay, and see what interesting details that you can find over there. Okay, everybody, so is everyone ready? Do you think that you found some, like, little ideas for your haiku and what you're going to be drawing or putting images on poster? Okay, so does everyone have up to 2 to 3 or 4 things? That's the minimum. Just, you know, as many as you want, as many as you can find that make this time of the year unique, that you can see at this time of the year. Okay. Okay. So does anybody need anything? Does anybody need any ideas that they can't really think of? So they've looked around and they haven't, like, thought of anything. Okay. So one of the suggestions is looking at, for example, looking at, here's kind of a neat one, looking at the sky at this time of year. So, you know, all of the different seasons have their own skies. For example, the Pisces sky is pretty pale and cloudy. But so one thing is looking up at, like, the sky and seeing the different cloud formations and seeing, like, like the weather being fickle or what, you know, the different colors. So that might be something. So does anybody else need any ideas? Okay, do you all have some things that you can use? Okay, just things that you see. Okay, just things that you found. Okay, let's come back on in. Now that you've found a couple of things, now what you're going to do is, I just want you to share out your ideas real quick. So, what was 1 or 2 things that you found? Just, I'm going to go around the room and then I'm going to ask all of you. Okay, and here's a little reminder. You're sharing out your ideas now, which you're going to be putting on paper. You're going to be drawing out. You're going to be pasting images onto. You're going to be writing poetically and creatively about, which is very Gemini. They're really good at, you know, they will make really, really great poets and, you know, novelists and all those types of things. So this is channeling Gemini energy, but this is also channeling Taurus energy, and I really wish that I would have done this with the Taurus Clavis, but so be it. So now it's time to channel the Taurus energy. So thinking about the senses, sight, smell, touch, taste, all those types of things. So, and so, you know, Mother Nature. Here's a little reminder. When somebody says something out, then no one can say what that person said or what that person's going to do. It has to be, you know, everyone has to be different. So, I'm going to start. So, one of the things is I noticed the cloud formations, the different types of clouds, and the varieties of clouds, the different shapes, how the sky looks like, all those types of things. Somebody else. Okay, the birds that you heard, the grass being green, okay. Mowed lawn, well, that doesn't really. Green leaves, okay. Wonderful. Okay, so, we went to the front yard. We went into the front yard, okay? And a couple of things that you noticed in the front yard. Yes, beautiful poppies. Poppies are those orange flowers, remember. So this is really, really good one. Pink flowers, those are the geraniums. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Yes, so remember that what you're saying, besides, so if you said an idea, then that's the only person who should, draw out and, create that idea. Draw it out on paper and, write about that idea. No one can copy it. Okay, and you can do, 2, 3, 4 things, but they all need to be different from everyone else. So, for this, all you need to do is, if you don't have good artistic skills, you can go online and you can find some images online of what you saw. Or what you can do is, if you want to go back out there right now, which I forgot to tell you about this before, I wish I thought to tell you about it. But you can go out, and if you have a phone, I know I do, if you have a phone, you can take a picture of, what you want to do, what you saw, and then maybe, paste it or, draw from it and look at it. You'll put it on your project, on your poster or paper, or, have that as, to draw out of it. Now, I'm not judging you on your skills for artistic, but it needs to have color. You're listening to try with the drawing of it. Now, I know that I can't draw, so I would put pictures. I would paste pictures, so it's a little poster. So then, on the back of that poster, and I have some poster paper over there, on the back of the poster, after you put all your images, and I would preferably label what the image is, and maybe just a basic, maybe just a little fact or two about the picture and what you're doing, and you can find that information online. Then after you're done with all of that, here's what you can either do. You can summarize haikus of all of the things that you did, or you can make one haiku summarizing everything that you did. Or you can take all the haikus summarizing everything that you did, like every little bit, individually, and then, combine it after that. Then combine everything together. But it's your choice. But definitely get artistic with using your mind, using your words. Because Gemini is all about words. I'm artistic and, that writing more of a Gemini way than a Piscean, Taurian way. So you get creative with your words. Expand your vocabulary. That's what Gemini is about. So this would have been the best thing to do during Taurus season, but so be it. You can still channel that energy. It still may. So channel that Taurus energy. Okay, and talk about the elements of poetry, like imagery, using the senses and all of the rest. And I can't really think of the onomatopoeia, but you can do that if you want to. But I think that you get the picture of what I'm asking you to do. So I'm going to give you some time to do that. When you're done, you can set them over on the table over there. Make sure to put your name on it. and then maybe even the date, okay? And then I might hang them up around a hallway or around the room so that people can go around and admire them. So, get to it. Okay, so now that you've done that, I hope that was a fun little activity for you all to do. Fun project. Very light and easy. The purpose of this was to get into the time of year. It all starts with the time of year. Now we're going to get to the Book of John, but I don't know why my hands get so small. Okay, so Gemini. So now we're going to talk about Gemini. So now we're going to actually read the rest of it. Now, so open up your books to page 9. Okay? Open up your books to page 9. On the introduction. I'll give you a few minutes to do that. Okay. So, it says, after the slumber of winter and in the midst of spring's full flowering, you see all the flowers around, a Gemini is born. At the moment of a Gemini's birth, the sun shines behind the constellation of the Great Twins, which is the symbol for Gemini. And remember, all the zodiac signs are constellations, and I think that also hints on, what you see at the front cover of the book. That's the constellation. So at night, maybe you can take a look at that. So, as the soul enters the earth armed with the knowledge of how to change the heart, how to make, a person making himself or herself, likable through the gift of the gap, through talking, through being fun and entertaining and just socializing. But it's interesting because the heart represents the emotion, and Gemini is not a water sign. It's not very emotional, which is the intelligence that can change a heart, that can change the world. So that's like one of the things that you find on the fortune cookies. So, as the soul enters the earth armed with the knowledge of how to change a heart, then, which is the intelligence that can how to change the world. It's interesting why they say heart, because it's not a mind. So when you don't have the ability to control anybody. But inspiration can go a long way, because when you inspire somebody with the heart and the motivation and the courage and the feeling and the empathy, sympathy, and kindness to do something, or the opposite way with the strong, intensive feeling, our feelings drive us towards our actions. So it can be the other side of the coin. It can be very negative things, bad, evil, sad, hurtful deeds, all the other words to talk about that. So now it's going to talk about Aries and Taurus. So the zodiac year, which I don't know why the regular year doesn't begin with the zodiac year, but so the zodiac year begins on the spring equinox on March 21st. That's the very, very first day of spring. From March 21 all the way to the 20th. And remember that the March is the ending and the beginning month for the year. So, on the spring equinox, when the universe honors Aries the Ram. Aries, the sign and the symbol. The first sign of the zodiac teaches us, for those of you who are members of Aries Clubus, you can remember what what you learned from that. How to explore our identity. So, who we are, where we're going, why we're here, purpose, all that kind of stuff. Power, the power that we have as an individual and to do the only things. Just like our place of status and our decisions and all sorts of things. Divinity, passions, always is for, fire represents passion, always very passionate, and lovability, explore, love, and, fire also rules romance, so very kind of sexy, lovable. So Aries is identity as an individual, doing and going on the quest that they want, the power that they have because they're very in charge, they want to be in control because you only have one life, make the most of it, and all the other things. So divine, passionate, and love. And then on April 21, Taurus the Bull gently steers out of Aries' Martian fire and into the Venetian Eden of aesthetics, so talking about things like art and just beauty and nature, all those types of things. That's what it means by aesthetic. So, Venetian Eden. As you know, Taurus is ruled by Venus, the planet of love and beauty and affection and friendship. Eden, think of the Garden of Eden. Think about, how that ties, like all the sensualness. Pleasure, pleasure, going with all the senses. Personal security, being secure. Having everything in its place, having a routine, not having things change, all those kind of things. And clarity, things being clear and to the point. It always helps understand what follows after I am, because that's the phrase for Taurus, is I am. I am, as an individual. And Taurus places the answers I have, because Taurus teaches us to be grateful for what we have, to everything that we take for granted, all the simple things that we take for granted, and all that we have, and feeling grateful that we have a nice, happy family and have food and a roof over our head, because we don't need a lot to be happy. So I have this, and just indulging and really making the most and loving and having the open-mindedness and open-heartedness in those simple pleasures. And our hands and heart. On May 21, Zodiac calendar follows the two animal signs with human traits. So the first two are single animals. And then the second sign, the third sign is human, but it's represented by two. One person copied over, a twin. So they're human traits. And Gemini is, all of the earth signs are, human people. And Gemini is known as a people person. And if you think about it, then you can figure out why. So, I've already talked about all of that. So, building on the foundations of the Aries fire of identity and the Taurus groundedness, because they're very, very stable and grounded, practical, that keeps secure and in pleasure. Secure with everything, keeping everything in its place, loving the same things. Gemini points to the mind and mouth as the mind, high power, and mouth is what I'm using to produce words to help us answer the question, to help us answer the question, I think. Well, I think is not the question, it's the phrase for Gemini. Because I think, and you're thinking all the time, you have thoughts all the time, anxieties, kind of the low roads of Mercury. I think, obviously, that's a given. It talks about the mind, because you're thinking with your mind, and your mind kind of is at the core of everything. It leads what you say, what you do, your decisions, yada yada yada. So, that's what it's really talking about here. When the planets shine behind Gemini, we're all asked, and this is kind of getting into the lessons of Gemini. So, we're all asked to think critically, think very, very critically. Like, channel and really put a lot of focus and seriousness on the mind, on our mind, to think. To think very, very critically about things. As Gemini rules the mind, it's all about the mind, because it's air. Exercise adaptability. And adapting, like adjusting and accepting to things. And it can also talk about boredom. Like, because, boredom builds character. Because when we're bored, we can find things to do. Like, during this pandemic, for example. And so adaptability. Adapting in the wrong situations. Finding the positivity and the light in the situations. And finding things to do in those situations. And Gemini are really, really good at that. And I can relate because I have two of it. Because, they have a fascination for everything. They need something to stimulate them. And they're very, very good to find stimulants. So it's the child. Has a curiosity for everything in the world. So, sharpen our verbal communication skills. Sharpen, and kind of be conscious of, I'm doing it right now as I'm, teaching. How we're communicating. How we're talking. What sounds and what words that we're using. How descriptive, what details, what points do we want to make. And it's like studying populations. I don't know how to explain it. But, so let's see. So, all those types of things. And I had a speech impediment when I was very little, so it would have been the best